Man, I always loved that song, ever since I heard it a long time ago. And I actually liked it so much that I actually used it as an intro to my Doppelgangers countdown. So, this is gonna be quite intense here. Welcome back to another chapter of Mortal Kombat Return of the Dragon King. Last time, Liu Kang actually figured out a plan on getting Edenian's champion in order to attain power from its Kamidogu and stand up against Onaga. And he wanted to bend the rules because the Elder Gods were petty, and so he and the Edenians decided to choose Ermac because he was a collection of souls and was the former proud ruler of Edenia, King Gerard. And meanwhile, Hanzo actually took Kung Lao out of the Nexus and into Earthrealm to recuperate from his exposure to the Chaos Realm. And eventually Liu Kang's spirit actually made Kung Lao restore his mind. And so he came to. But Liu Kang actually visited his grandfather, who told him that he knew Shijinko as a troubled kid, like everyone taking advantage of him, always being naive, always thinking as himself as a celebrity and whatnot, and always training with Boraicho. But he also knew that Damashi wasn't a name, but a Japanese word meaning deception, which got Liu Kang alarmed. And so, Aiko and Kenshi were actually led by Fujin to the Temple of Elements, along with the Edenians and Li Mei, and they imprisoned Johnny there as a revenant, and Aiko explained the details of her relationship with Kung Lao, which Li Mei accepted, until there was a distress signal emitting from the Wuxi Academy. Kenshi and Aiko picked it up. So, let's get this thing started. Alright, continuation 7, Corruption. Nightwolf abruptly woke up with heavy breathing. Kiba actually barked next to him. He was laying on a cot similar to an infirmary, or the mountain base he used to operate in, as he came to while experiencing another one of his night terrors of Onaga. Kiba was whimpering beside him as he felt the same horrific terrors as he did. The shaman assumed his pet sensed the evil too, even a dream from Raiden. I must get that ship ready! The alarm went off as if an intruder breached the academy. Nightwolf rushed to the main chamber and punched around his motherboard. The sensors showed him a pile of rubble about 8 feet deep. Then his eyes narrowed, as his face grimaced when he sensed an immense evil from it. Kenshi and Aiko just took the portal back to Liu's tomb, when the blind swordsman's ears perked up as if like a dog's, with its keen sense of hearing courtesy of his blindness and telepathy. Despite their fears... "Aiko, let me use your heart gem. I believe it might magnify my telepathy, like with your song, so I can warn the monks of this electrical foreboding threat. They must get to safety." She did just that. Handed it over. However, he nearly dropped it as he received that frantic cries instead, from the monks. He immediately gave the jewel back. "Aiko, the monks are frantic! Someone is attacking them!" The location of the disarray near the Temple of Light. En route they met up with Nightwolf, who's closing fast with Kiba. He and Kenshi came to the conclusion, aside from Kiba's first sticking up, that Raiden was still alive, even in a familiar aura, though just as menacing. Several feet away, Kung Lao, Hanzo, and Ermac were chasing after the ominous force as well, when suddenly, Liu's spirit felt as if it was pulled by a tractor beam, as if he had no control. With his strong soul kinesis, Ermac drove him back, many spirits, inside the dragon amulet. "By the Elder Gods! I am getting so goddamn sick of this!" "Aiko!" Kung Lao felt it, even Nightwolf and Kenshi. At the Jinsei chamber, Raiden was still hunched over. Fujin was there. "Fujin! I can sense myself, my own soul, but he is not me at all. He seems more threatening, malicious, and yet I can somewhat feel my very own essence. That shall explain the red lightning I witnessed in Outworld." Raiden slowly rose his head. "Brother, as a former Elder God, have you not learned to make a duplicate of yourself?" "Yes, but I never used it. It always required so much vitality, even half of your essence." "He has the majority of my soul. I transferred my energy onto him. As an Elder God, I noticed I can make a copy of myself, much like Shinnok. Before the blast, I knew my time was at hand, and so I regretfully spent most of my energies onto him as he was being revived in Earthrealm to save myself from imminent death." When Fujin teleported Lao and Nightwolf to safety during Raiden's sacrifice in Onaga, to be exact, he was dumbfounded as to why he would do this. He learned to create a mirror image of himself as he believed Shinnok could do the same. He heard his evil duplicate incanting a haunting spell earlier, to which can be used at the Lost Houan Temple. "He's going to attack the Academy, with Liu Kang as his Dark Avenger! You must stop him!" Nightwolf, Kenshi, and Aiko picked up intense energy as Kiba growled. The shaman offered the swordsman to use his telepathy and communicate with Raiden, although the attempt was null and void as he heard his distress instead. "Raiden mentioned I must conjure a rainstorm and make sure my weapon is ready, as EMP needs to be charged. I must summon my ancestor spirits to power up the weapon and develop that pure rainstorm of natural energy to counter this evil." "EMP? An electromagnetic pulse?" Ermac offered help to expedite the process. Kenshi, Kung Lao, and Aiko headed straight to the academy, while Hanzo volunteered and remained with the duo. Fujin added he shall create a microburst, a violent wind to descend and gather all enormous thundercloud, restoring Raiden's strength as much as possible. However, he'd need Nightwolf's help to do so. Feeling Aiko's astrophobia as she whimpered in fear, Kenshi offered to block her nerve receptors, although he warned it was temporary, as further inaccessibility may cause some neurological damage. "Wow, I never knew you learned so much during your time in the Special Forces. let alone with your blindness. We must hurry. Kung Lao and Liu Kang are closing fast. Do you know any safe havens? The Dragon Grotto? That's all I could think of. Roseanne and Aiko's head was engulfed in a blue hue for a few seconds. Think of it as kind of like Neru's love in Ocarina of Time. As if being covered by Neru's love while feeling nothing emotionally. Good, let's go. They saw the calamity, and orange hot flashes licked closer to the panicked monks. They were nearly hit, but as the crowd thinned, their eyes counting Kenshi's sixth sense beheld a horrifying sight. They became awestruck, watching Liu Kang in his place a green body, dragging numerous chains and letting out some incoherent moans. He then roared as he recognized the two intruders. No! It can't be you! She was too stupefied to say any more, but it didn't take too much telepathy to know that the undead slave was just as terrifying as that revenant from her dystopian future. Seconds later, red zigzags crashed and descended to the ground, making their feet vibrate, and a more ominous version of the thunder god they knew greeted them, complete with soul-piercing red eyes. His war-torn robe looked coated in black, the exact polar opposite of the heavenly being, now presenting himself as one of the devil's apprentices. He rose in a hand to stall the undead. What? What are you? I happen to be resurrected here in Earthrealm, and with a lot more power, I might add. So good for you to join us, Aiko and Kenshi. You will be within our ranks shortly. I assure you, with my enforcer, the champion of Mortal Kombat. You see, I have revived him courtesy of the sacred dark arts of the lost Houan, a tribe of necromancers, whom I decimated centuries ago. You work for Onaga, then! My sacrifice to Onaga has granted us this gift, Kenshi. I shall punish those who pose as a threat to Earthrealm. I will no longer be passive to the warmongering denizens of this world, or others. I have my own agenda, though the followers who won't defy me and threaten the earth would be more than welcome to fight for me. So, you're just ruling this realm with an iron fist! All those who shall defy me would meet their demise, just like that foolhardily naive Shijinko. I made him pay with his life, after he was unknowingly working for a greater evil, despite the falsely believing he was working for a greater good. His eyes sparkled as he tossed the elder's severed head. Filled with a violent lust, the zombified servant was pent up for battle as he ignited and let out another snarl. I go! Get everyone to safety! I'll handle these two treacherous bastards! She never had to think twice. She turned tail and ran when Kenshi drew out his blade. Dark Raiden just simply rose a hand, and streaks of red electricity licked Kenshi's trembling body. Even his blade Sento acted as a rod. The warrior collapsed in a heap. Finish him! Liu's possessed body was hit from behind, which happened to be Kung Lao's hat. It returned like a boomerang. The owner teleported before the revenants and even the corrupt god's eyes. Lao was flabbergasted of those abominations. Kung Lao! Liu's better half wasn't too thrilled. By the elder gods! What have you done? Nothing I will regret. I'm loyal to my own creator. I thought you might say that. Fight! He would fight Liu Kang. His corpse. Deja vu struck him as if he was resisting the crucial test, battling his own revenant and seeing Aiko's future. His ruined life. Raiden ordered his puppet to slay Lao, then Liu offered to share his partner's body, to which he obliged. It was courtesy of Ermac holding onto the dragon amulet. With a looming storm, Ermac was, via his soul kinesis, let Kenshi away. Kung Lao simply distracted the monstrous monk. Lao closed in with a whirlwind kick, seemed to make Liu falter, but not for long. His resilience was incredible, being blindly loyal to his maker. He even used his own chains both as a sword and shield. They seemed to cause some lacerations onto his bitter rival. And he would be in Armageddon, too. Canonically. What the heck? The living champion once hesitated as if they actually contaminate him, make him as a zombie, too. After hearing murmurs in the White Lotus Society, even about the ancient evil known as the Houan, and how Raiden barely killed the occult. Those chains must be controlling him! If we could just cut them off. It wasn't the best time to think, as it gave his undead counterpart a chance to unleash his fury with his fierce flying and flexible kicks. Yep, he still has his moves. Held on one of the enemy's legs before lunging and licking flame. Luckily, Liu made sure to leave some space to prevent him from incinerating Liu's palm. Sent a few tricks of his own before he unleashed some of Liu's moves, including his tornado kick and aerosol. The undead fought back. Liu thought twice as he took a few blows and just teleported underneath. He performed some of Liu's own Shaolin slams. Witnessing impending defeat, Raiden's hand glowed as he took a few steps, then blinded by sudden funnel. Even the two warring Orientals paused. Raiden just simply blocked himself before outstretching his arms, breaking the current. Fushin landed on his feet. Fushin! You should never be involved in this! Oh. Fushin! You should never be involved in this! I must, disciples! There were some flashes of white lightning between the tan clouds, and made the warring gods waver for a split second before Raiden resumed. The aerial combat was a bit of a standoff. Due to the darkness, the dark god seemed to have the upper hand, even when he was able to lead some shocks onto Fushin, making him vulnerable to more onslaughts. An impact forced Fushin to land. While the two monks felt the impact, Liu was soon able to best his rival, thanks to Liu's strategies. Although it wasn't enough, confronting the dark god who electrified them, utilizing the razor-rimmed hat as a metallic rod, they were greatly paralyzed. Just like Kenshi. Nightwolf was guiding the microburst toward the so-called deserted occult hangout. Then the monstrous storm cloud sounded, as if it began to burst. With that same deafening crack, the storm downpoured in torrents. The enormous mound continued to strike within it, and Fushin was beholding his brother glowing in a turquoise hue. Hurry, Raiden! Dark Raiden's hand ignited with a crimson hue. You two have no choice but to join me in my conquest. He was hit nearly off his feet by a sudden shockwave, made him stamper before he regained his balance, as if it had no effect. He tested his powers again, which seemed minimized. He wasn't fazed. Is that the best you puny humans can do? An electromagnetic pulse? That pathetic stunt can only stun me. I can walk this off in a minute. Yet still, I have enough strength to perish you and make you as another undead pawn, Kung Lao. Two of the best monks in my servitude once again. Not yet, Raiden! It was Nightwolf. The terroristic deity just marched up to the duo till he was held and struck from behind. His body illuminated brighter and brighter like the sacred fountain from the Sky Temple. Nightwolf kept Liu down as they shielded their eyes encased in a green force field. They could have sworn Liu's doppelganger squealed as he was being nuked by the harsh white lightning bolts. Ermac created a neon green wall to keep the frightened escapees at bay from the raging storm, which they heard ear-piercing cracks of thunder. As if there was an explosion near the Dragon Grotto, the monks startled as they, Kenshi, and Aiko heard the lethal thunder wave, which is just enough momentum to quake it. I've never heard nor felt the likes of such a calamity. This could be no act of nature, Kenshi wondered. Right now, Nightwolf rose, though Liu was capable. Hanzo rushed to them as the shaman was greeted by a reassuring hand. You know what you must do. Shaman nodded in the echoing tenor. All of a sudden, a flash of immense light nearly blinded the refugees. The Indian rose a hand, calming they're still safe, and that Raiden meant no harm to them. The Thunder God conjured the Jinsei encasing Lao's and Fujin's immobilized bodies, before he stood and faced his children after the teleportation beneath the ground. Everyone couldn't help but gasp and mutter in astonishment before some cheered while others bowed. Raiden couldn't help but smile, reunited with his devoted followers. The cardiokinetic could hardly adjust. A glimmer caught her eye. "Kung Lao! Kung Lao!" she called amongst the large crowd. I go! He scanned for his missing mate until she charged into him and wrapped in her light embrace. Lao returned the pressure as he tended her, while also resting his head on her shoulder, even nuzzling it. They barely heard Liu's irritation on getting his spirit smushed. Raiden just signaled the monks to silence themselves. "Thank you, brave warriors, for escorting everyone to safety. From now on, you are all in good hands." He addressed to Aiko, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, and Kenshi. "However, I mustn't stay here. Earthrealm and all realms are still in peril by Onaga and his followers. I know now where they'll strike, at the Temple of Elements, where the last Kamidogu stands. Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Sharad, and Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Sharad, and Hanzo shall head through the Nexus, reunite the champions, and thwart off Onaga for good while dividing the Kamidogu amongst all of you. You shall be able to move now." Cowboy Lookalot nodded. "Nightwolf, I know you must be dreading this moment, but it must be done once the dragon is weak enough." "Yes, the Sin Eater ritual. Prepare yourself. You could do this." "Kenshi, Aiko, I'll teleport each of you back to the Temple of Elements. You must not let Onaga and his troops possess Shinnok's amulet. Sonya, Jax, and the dragon's army will be marching there. Good luck to both of you. I shall be at the Jinsei with Nightwolf and Fujin." The duo gathered around their mentor. "Stay safe, fellow warriors, and may the Elder Gods protect us all." With a blink of an eye, the trio went off. The heroes reunited with Hanzo near the Temple of Light, when Raiden addressed some sorrowful news. "My darker self. He already vanquished the false champion of the Elder Gods, Shijinko." It wasn't too surprising for the mortals, especially since Lao and Liu witnessed his decapitated head. "I should have known he'd use the Houan's black arts. I destroyed them centuries ago. However, their dark rituals still remained. Thus, I need to incinerate the abomination. No! There is a better way. Liu Kang, for now, the Dragon King must be destroyed. Johnny, Sonya, and Jax are still in his thrall. And if I'm right, their goal would be at the Temple of Elements where the last Kamidogu stands, Shinnok's amulet." Everyone nodded, confirming Liu's and Hanzo's concerns. "And Kwai? He has his own inquiries. He shall be safe at the moment. Recruit the remaining champions and enter the Nexus. We're all counting on you." At the Temple of Elements, Kenshi assured to Aiko that Kung Lao shall return to her loving arms soon. I guess I'll end it here. So much work on that chapter, and yet so little done. Ever since I'd been doing my females list, things have been hectic. Maybe I'd been losing inspiration on deception, let alone its droning conquest. Still got a long way, and I think I might start with an optional one for some combatants next. And there are the songs, yada yada yada. It was such a damn relief to be rid of him. Never liked Raiden as his darker, vicious self, posing as a threat to everyone. No mercy shown, nor quarter given. Sure, his plot failed twice in the series, but he got a chance in the spotlight here. Nor did I ever like the fact that Kung Lao and Fujin had to deal with the corruption and zombie Liu Kang in Deception in Armageddon. Only for them to die and never get their sanity, and to be reversed by lousy time travel and have Raiden's benevolent self be insane again. This better not happen in the more competent fire god Liu Kang. At least he's not a blunder god. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them when fans consider Raiden as a blunder god. He was terrible in the Netherrealm games. I always wanted Raiden to be the caring mentor for the mortals, with a little snark, not some neglectful prick like Warner Brothers and Netherrealms made him to be. So another chapter's finally done, although the next one shall take a detour, involving certain wanderers in the Netherrealm for a chance to shine. So, I'm gonna make a little detour. Until then, this is the Ekron Rider signing out, and man, at the time I was working on my females list, and I was so damn glad to get these two things out of the way. The list and, Corrupt Raiden's story arc. He had a chance to shine, and I finally got rid of him. So it was a huge relief, especially with zombie Liu Kang as his messenger. I mean, have we forgotten about the Headless Horseman in Sleepy Hollow? The movie? Well, yeah, I'll see you guys later.